Hello everybody, how are you all doing today? Welcome to the class. Let me know that you can see and hear me okay, then I know I'm going out alright. It seems okay from this side. And let me know where you're from. It's not a bad day here in New Zealand today. We've had some crazy rains this week, a few floods and so on, but other than that, we're still floating. Hi Lana, Manuel, Patricia. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. Thanks for confirming, Manuel. At least I know now I'm going out okay and you guys can see me all good. Hey, Harwant, how are you doing? Hi, Mirai. This class is especially for you. Hi, Louisa, Virginia. How you guys doing? But I must admit, I'm quite looking forward to painting these bubbles myself. I think it's going to be awesome fun. I really do. And I think it's going to be a nice, easy painting too. So it's not going to be a stressful painting. A nice beginner painting. But yet I think it's going to be one that people would like. People would buy it. I think it'll be a popular painting. Definitely. Alrighty, so if this is your first class, just let me know and I'll let you know how everything works. Other than that, we'll start on the hour. I like to give people just a few minutes to get in. So if you haven't got one, if you've got one, just get yourself a pair of compasses. Ideally with a watercolor pencil, but just a standard pencil would also do. Other than that, just get yourself some round things to draw circles with, you know, little anything, cups, anything round. Hey Gloria, welcome. Good to see you in the class again today. How did it go with your raccoon? If you have done it, you can tag me on Instagram. Just use the hashtag paintbasket. Or if you're on Facebook, you can hop onto the paintbasket page, the Facebook page over there, and you can go and post it there. And obviously if you're a patron, pop it on the website and then I'll give you some feedback. Alrighty, got another minute or so. So if this is your first class, just log into your YouTube or your Facebook account, or your YouTube or your Google account, then you can chat with. I'm constantly checking the chat box, so fire away. I'll answer your questions as we go. Other than that, pack out your paints, paint with. Nice easy painting today. Hi Bruno, welcome. It's slowly cooling off here. Winter's on its way, definitely. Alrighty, we're on the hour, let's get going. Hello and welcome to the class today. Today we're going to be painting some bubbles, some soap bubbles. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a nice, easy beginner painting. You're going to really enjoy it. Let me show you what the photo looks like, and then we'll do some planning from there, because there are a few things that we need to look out for when painting these bubbles so that we can get them to look realistic. So I got this picture on Pixabay. And it looked like a good one to do, because there's a nice amount of variety in the bubbles. So I can show you all the different techniques that are involved in painting these bubbles. So the first one is, you'll see that they all sorts of shapes and sizes. So those sizes are really random. So when you're painting, you have to make sure that you have all these different random shapes and sizes. So now traditionally you're looking for circles, right? But you won't necessarily just have circles. Once you've just blown that bubble, it can be a random shape, and then it gradually turns into a bubble. And also, depending on the amount of wind, they're very light and very thin, so the amount of wind can change their shape as well. So don't kill yourself getting them perfectly round. If you don't, maybe you're painting and you go over the edges a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Then you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of colors in them. So the way those colors, what happens or how they come about, is your light from the sun goes through this thin layer of water and soap molecules. And it's sort of, the water then acts like a prism. And you get that separation of the colors. Then those colors go and bounce around the inside of this bubble. And now, light is a wave, like a sine wave, right? So what those sine waves then do is they add and they subtract from each other. And that's how you get all these different colors. So when they add to each other, the color looks brighter. When they subtract from each other, the color looks darker. But generally, they'll conform to a bit of a rainbow pattern. So what you will see is, it seems so like when the bubble is floating through the air, it seems like those colors are swirling. And that's just because those light rays are bouncing off that bubble at all these different angles. And then the bubble is still moving as well. So you've got all these light rays that are bouncing it off at different angles and interacting with each other at all these different angles. But they do generally conform to a rainbow effect. So you can see it quite nicely in any of these ones. Let's maybe go to this guy over here. There you can see you've got yellow, green, blue, violet, purple, then orange, yellow, and white. So you've got all your standard rainbow colors all following on from each other. So those transitions can be quick, but they are there. So when you're painting your bubbles, remember to go in a rainbow fashion. Then you've now also got some bubbles that are sticking to each other and stuff like that. So we'll deal with that. I'm going to show you how we do that as we paint. The next thing that we need to look out for, which is quite interesting, look really closely and you'll see in the central area, it's almost like you can see a reflection, because that's what it is. I'm going to go to another photo. I want to show you something interesting. This one's got quite a prominent and unusual reflection in the central area. Eh? So let's zoom well into that. Go just maybe a little bit out. I'll put it over there. Then we can play around a bit. So if you look carefully, you can see that there's a house. So there's the roof, there's the balcony, there's the bottom bit. Then there's something else going on down here, and there seems to be maybe like a tree or something. Now look what's happened. That same image has flipped left to right and top to bottom. So you've got basically a mirror image. There's the house, there's your roof, there's the tree or whatever is there. So let's maybe, just for interest sake, let's take this guy. Let's go and select him. And let's go and paste him down. If you'll copy. He doesn't want to copy on me now. Never mind. What I'll do is let's take this whole I'm going to just crop this guy. And now I'm just going to rotate him. Alright, let's try something else. Just bear with me here. Right. Now let's bring that guy let's bring that guy in there. And we'll put these two next to each other. Now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to rotate him. Look at that. Absolute identical. Literally a mirror image with no difference whatsoever, right? So as you're painting, just look out for that. So if you put a little mark on this side going maybe up, leave a mark on that side going down. But take a look and you'll see that those rainbow colors aren't a mirror image. In the other one it just happened to be, but it's not. You can see here, in each one of these bubbles you have that repeating little central reflection of the whatever's around the bubble, and then it's upside down reflection on the bottom piece, but the rainbow bits are different. So that's how you get unity between your different bubbles. Right, so enough theory, let's go and paint it. So the first thing that we need to do is just get ourselves some colors down, and we'll obviously now start off with the background. So now you can see in this picture over here, the background is quite busy. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to simplify it, because the bubbles themselves are already quite busy because of all the different colors and things happening in them. So let's take some sap green. And we'll get 3 different versions of it. I think we can darken him up with, say, some French Ultramarine. And then we'll lighten him up with some cadmium yellow. And possibly some white. So I'm now painting in acrylic today. You could paint along in oil. You would just need to wait for your background to dry before continuing with the bubbles. Alright, so let's just take, say, yeah, it's quite a, the size canvas I'm working on today is a A3, which is roughly 12 by 16 inches. So let's get some ultramarine into that. I may as well just chuck all of it in. I'm going to get a reasonably dark color. If that's not dark enough, we can maybe use some crimson. So I have permanent alizarin over here. In other words, some of the opposite color. Okay, let's take that. I'm sure we can use some neat sap green. As well. Alrighty, I don't think I'm going to add any water or anything to that. Then I'll just use a nice big bristle brush. So this is a, what's that, a 2-inch bristle brush. Alrighty, let's go over to here. I think before I start, I just want to show you something. I've finished up this guy and I've added him to the website. So if you're a patron, you can go and follow this tutorial. It is now available there on the website. So with this one, I've used acrylic, acrylic, and acrylic. And then I've painted the face and the skin of the arms in oil. Then if you are a patron, you can also go and download the reference photos and stuff for each class. Alrighty, so let's just, I'm just going to whack down random shapes. Just using a crisscross fashion. All we're trying to do here is just get ourselves an out of focus background. Because what happens is you're not focused in on the bubbles themselves. So your eye automatically pushes what's in the background out of focus. So I'm just painting in a really random shape here. You can use your photo as a reference. So no matter where these bubbles are, obviously you may be painting it with maybe a child busy blowing them, so where you can see the child and stuff in the picture. So all that will be in focus, but the background, just push it out of focus. So I know now, let's make that corner maybe dark. I know now it's quite popular to do a bokeh background because that's what your camera does. In this case, I'm not going to recommend it because if you do a bokeh background, you're going to have circular patterns in the background, and they're going to compete with the circles of the just a few little dabs and dashes. That should be good enough. All right, let's go for a lighter version. I'm just going to use neat sap green. Not going to clean the brush or anything, just picking it up. And I'm going to put these colors just, or this new color, just in between. And get more of the canvas covered. It doesn't have to cover everything, but just get more of it covered. What you're interested in here is just really random organic shapes, because everything in nature is random. I just see we've got quite a bit of a shine on that canvas. So I'm just going to switch over to this random camera here for a minute, and then I want to just rearrange the other one to see if I can get a less shine on it. So just bear with me. That's a little bit better. Sorry about that. Alright, so just getting some random organic shapes happening here. So I've now added a little bit of red into the sap green, just to get other sort of an in-between color. So by this stage, most of your canvas should be covered. All right. Let's put that palette down there for a minute. So now I'm just going to take whatever's left here on the canvas, or on the palette, sorry, and let's get some of this yellow into it. Because what we're painting here is just leaves. There must be some other bush or something in the background. Let's take some more yellow and maybe a bit of white as well. So some of those leaves are sticking their head out and getting nice sunshine on them. They're catching a tan. Other guys are hiding in the back. So the front ones are casting a shadow on them. So they're all dark and so on. Alrighty, so we're done with that brush. Now I'll go over to a smaller bristle brush, something this size. It's about a 1 centimeter, roughly a half an inch. I'll just pick some of that. And now you'll see there's little bits of canvas still shining through. So I'm not just going to use little dabs and dashes. And I'm going to use those little open patches as my guide on where to add little sunlight patches. So when you do, put all these little patches in random organic shapes. Turn the brush. Hold the brush at different angles. What I like to do is I like to tell a little story about the families. Each family is different and each family is unique. And these leaves and stuff also grow in families. So sometimes you'll have a small family. Sometimes you'll have a large family. Let me just finish this little piece off over here. I know it's behind the overlay. And we'll continue with that little story. Alrighty. So sometimes you get a small family, so they have just got a wife and maybe one kid. There's maybe some newlyweds, just the two of them. Here's a larger family. Maybe they've got a few grandkids already. And then you do obviously always get a few little bachelors living alone as well. So by telling yourself that little story, it forces you to create little random patterns and shapes. And that's where you get your leaves and stuff looking random. See, maybe here's a kindergarten. And it's quite a popular one. There's lots of kids. And they're all running around. And you always get old Johnny. He's wandering off over there. So the teacher has to go and fetch him. So if you just quietly tell these stories to yourself, nobody will think you're crazy. We'll know better, but right, so we're nearly done. You see, I've gradually taken all those little bits where I can still see canvas shining through, and they've been my cue of where to put stuff. So automatically, I mean, you had no control over where there's little bits of canvas shining through. So automatically, it's become random. Okay, now right at the end, all I do is I just look for little patches where there's nothing going on. For example, can you see in this corner here, there's nothing there? So now I'm going to add a few little things in there. And maybe I'll use a bit of a darker version. Just create a little something over there. And that way you've got everywhere there's something interesting. And if your paint is still wet, to get everything out of focus, you can even just use your finger and just gently tap over any real prominent marks, just to smudge it. Anything that's got a really hard edge, you can just tap over. And that'll just push it out of focus for you. Because now there's no more hard edges there. Alrighty, so now I have to dry this off. Your background has to be dry before you can put those bubbles over it. You have to really make sure it's well dry, because when you're painting your bubbles, you don't want to now go and pick up this green. Alright, so I'm going to just wash my brush, get that all nice and clean. Now we can take this green, we're done with it. So I'm going to just scoop that up and put him to one side. You never know if you need just a little spot somewhere later. And that spot will more often be not in that little central area of each bubble. And then I'm also just going to clean off that area on the palette, because now we need to work with nice bright rainbow colors. So we can't have this green dulling down those colors. So I'm just using a ton of water just to soak up and dilute all of that over there. I'll just take my whole roll of kitchen towel and just mop that up, and we have a nice clean palette to work from again. Okay, so when it comes to these colors, I'm pretty much just going to create myself a little bit of a rainbow here on the palette. So we'll leave all that over there, that's dirty. We don't want that there. But this here, I can scoop that up and put some white down there. That's all still clean. And let's see. Let's go down the list. We'll take and put down some yellow. This time you don't need to put down a heap of paint, because you're using very thin layers, thin transparent layers. So there's some yellow. Put in some of that magenta over there. The next color I'm going to use is Dioxazine Purple. You can use any purple. He's quite dark, so I think I'll add a little bit of white into him. So you can't really see the color from there, eh? So let's just get him into the visible light area. Adding some white into him, that looks great. Such a nice color that, eh? Alrighty, and then some blue, maybe some ultramarine. Because I'm seeing dark and light blue, so I'll put a touch of ultramarine. And then maybe a cerulean. You can use maybe a Taylor blue as well. Yeah, there we go. Those colors should do the trick, because the yellow and the red will give us our orange, and then they'll all mix into each other, and then there's plenty of white down there. Alright, so to do your circles, let me just set up that camera, or that view quickly. Yeah, I think we can go to there. Hi guys, welcome to the class. Alrighty. So to do these, to draw these circles, you can use anything. I'm going to use a pair of compasses, and what I've got here is a white watercolor pencil. The watercolor pencil has got just normal pigment in it that's in your paints anyway. And being white on this dark background, it should stand out. Should stand out okay. So I'm going to reasonably replicate what we see in the photo, just because it makes it easier for you to follow along. But when you're painting, you make your own bubbles. You don't have to make the same bubbles. Alright, so I've just drawn a circle there. If you don't have that, you can use anything. Masking tape. There's anything that's around. There's some scotch tape, sharpener, you name it. You can draw these circles also just using a pencil, but I find that the lines don't stand out quite as nice where you're with the watercolor pencil. They do just stand out better. Alright. So in this case, our sun is coming from the right to the left. And you can see that because this top edge of that bubble is lighter than the right hand side. Remember, we got to work half-half. So we know our sun is coming from this side. So what I'll usually do is let's pick up some white. Let's get see if we can put a palette down there as well. Let's maybe put him over there. And let's squeeze our palette in over there. I'm sure we can chop off that piece because we're not using that. Alright, so I'm just picking up some white. Neat white, nothing in it, no water, nothing. Then what I like to do is just give myself a bit of an edge, not all the way around, but just a bit of an edge. So now here on this right hand side, that's where the sun's coming from. So you're going to add some more white over there to get that lighter. Now whatever you do on this side, let's say on the left or on the right top, you got to do on the left bottom. Because you have that mirroring effect. So the brush I'm using here is a Filbert. It's a soft Filbert, just a small one. You could use bristle brushes as well, or you can use any soft brush. Fine liners also work, or round brushes. Round brushes like this, they also work. I use them too sometimes. Alright, so from here, you're going to start adding colors. So I do like to use photos as a reference because it gives you an idea of how that swirling is happening. But it doesn't need to be identical. In 2 seconds, the swirling is going to change because of that reflected, refracted, that's a big ass word, refracted light. Okay, so I've got some blue over there, and then from that blue it is gradually changing color. So think Think rainbow. So maybe what you've done over there, you've got to do some of it over here. But they don't need to be identical. So this one I'm putting down a little bit less. So next to blue comes yellow, because between the yellow and the blue, there's your green. Let's maybe add some yellow over here. So I'm using the photo as a reference. Got some yellow over here. Now, in the end of the day, my aim is to get that little central see-through piece, the shape of it, roughly correct. If I can do that, then I will have succeeded. Okay, so now I'm using yellow and red, or yellow and the crimson, to give me that bit of an oranginess. And that's got to go next to the yellow. And then you get the crimson itself. And then we can go to the purple. So can you see how the colors have followed each other? In a rainbow fashion. I think I can actually put a bit more white into that purple. So what I'll do is let's take a bit of, let's just mix it over there. Then we've got light and dark purple to play with. So in between, when I change colors, I am washing my brush, just to keep things neat and clean. Let's maybe lighten up some of that over there. Just lightly blend those guys into each other. It doesn't have to be perfect blendings. Just remember, the stuff is all swirling around. Alright, now I'm going to take some white again. And by this time, that outside colors have usually sort of hardened up or dried up a little bit. So I'm taking this white and I'm going to give an extra layer here on this outside. And I'm going to fade that layer inwards. Like a little shading. And that's going to give you that rounded effect of the bubble. Then you also have the sun reflecting in there. So you have, we know our sun is coming from the right. So you have a nice big one over there. And then that light goes through and it hits this side over here and is smaller. And then generally I leave that empty like that. Sometimes I'll maybe just add a little bit of a dab of a very dull color. Maybe there's just a little bit of paint left on the brush after wiping it. Then I'll just add just a dab or something, just to have a very dull reflection in that area. Alright, let me just put you down just going to pop it down on that camera there so that I can adjust the next. So that we can add some more bubbles. Alright, let's go back to there. Okay, so here comes our next interesting bit. I think I'm going to even take that palette. Let's move him down a bit more. Get him a little bit more out the way. Alright, so the next one is you've got a bubble, but he's now overlapping this guy. So there's our next interesting bit. So I'm going to just, let's make that bubble a bit smaller, and I'm going to just make sure he overlaps. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to take not as much white on the brush this time. Can you see this bubble is not as bright? So our sun is coming from the right hand side, so the right hand side does need to be brighter. That will be a recurring theme through all your bubbles, because you can't move the sun. So what you've done on the right hand side on the top, you need to do on the left hand side on the bottom. Okay, now take a look over here. I'm going to first just stop there for now. I'm not going to go into that guy. We'll get that overlapping bit done shortly. So what I'm concentrating on now is getting that edge nice and sharp. You want to define the outside edge of the bubble. You have to be able to see where the bubble ends. Okay, so let's start with our colors again. See where the other one started with a blue on the outside? This one's now got yellow on the outside. This one you can see that swirling effect a lot nicer, right? So I'm going to pop some yellow down there, and we'll work on that swirling a bit. Let's get some yellows over there. There's some yellow on that edge over there. Some yellow on that edge over there. And then some orange. And I'm going to put that orange down just in a little bit of a almost like a zigzag S-shaped motion, just to get it to look a little bit more odd shaped. And that'll start suggesting that movement for us. Okay, from there we're going to the crimson. And I'll put that swirling around in between that orange, so that it's in between the orange, but mostly on the other side of the orange, away from the yellow. Wash the brush, let's get some purple. Actually, I'm seeing some blue there, so I'll pick up a bit of ultramarine. And here, maybe this time I'm going to just start shading this a little bit. get some ultramarine there, and in this vicinity here. All the time I'm gradually working towards getting a little bit of that mirror effect. Yeah, let's get a little bit of purple in there. What the heck. Okay, now I'm taking some cerulean. And let's see, we've got that little dent there in the center. There's a dent in the center over there. And that's great for that guy. Wash all that off. Take your white again. Just get that quick little shading bit. So you'll see this little white that you add now here at the end, it adds that, not just the roundness, it adds a bit of shininess as well. Okay, now over here, we've got that overlapping, hey? So now I'm going to take just this last little bit of white. I'm going to just carefully put it on the edge, overlapping that other guy. So you can still see these front guys' colors, but the back guy's shape. You see that? Okay, let's get our sun highlight. Nice big one over here, and a secondary one over there. Alrighty, so let's now just stand back for a second. Get rid of everything. There you can see the overall effect. Alright, so now what I like to do in a situation like this is we've got multiple bubbles, right? So you want to make some of them your focal point. Every painting must have a focal point. So I'm going to make these guys in this vicinity here the focal point, and then these guys over here less prominent. So I think I'll do, I like to put things in sort of groups, odd groups. So let's do one more over there. And then from there, we'll make the rest less prominent. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go back to there. We'll tackle one more. So I think you're starting to get the feel of it. They're not difficult, eh? Just a little bit of a process. Okay, so start off by getting ourselves a circle. So he must now be a different size to these guys. And he doesn't have to be smaller or bigger than like you've got in the photograph. There was my last one. I think this one I'm actually going to make him, yeah, let's make him smaller. Then he'll be a little bit further away, possibly. So when you add these extra bubbles in, okay, so no sun is coming from the right. So there's that highlight. And that highlight is giving me the shape. Get him on the other side. When you add these different shapes in, these different bubbles, make sure that they different distances from each other as well. Yeah, that'll do. Right, so I'm seeing bits of yellow. This one is a bit more pinks and blues. So let's get just little bits of yellow on that edge over there. Maybe to there. I'm going to take a bit of this crimson, just one side, pick up a bit of white, get some white into it to get a bit more pinky colors. Here's a nice little swirling effect going up there and there. There's a nice swirling effect happening over there. And I'll use them. If I see them in the photo, I will use them as a guide. Let's get little touches of purple on the ends of that. And now we can go to blues. So let's maybe just take some cerulean. Let's get that. And I'm working on that symmetrical shape in the center. Let's maybe add a bit of a lighter blue. So let's take some of that cerulean with some white into it. See, there's something going down, and there's something going up. Alrighty, so we've got our swirly colors in. Let's get that edge. That little edge shading. That side over there as well. So I'm just going to complete that circle over there and over there, but with not as prominent white as there and there. Sun reflection there and there. That one looks like you just need a bit of a yellow. Just a bit of yellow for brightness. Alright, so let's now maybe go and work down in this section over here. Let's put a bubble down there. So now we want those three to be our focal ones, right? So this guy here mustn't be as prominent. So I'm going to start off with our little sunlight edge, because that defines the shape. Nice little bright edge on there. Okay, so this one has got some yellow. Just a little bit around this area here. So as before, I am using the photo as a rough guide. There. Then he quickly goes pink and red. It's got a bit of a purpley color, so it's a bit of a mix between pink and red. In this vicinity here, it looks almost like a whole damn continent. Like that. And you see how I'm putting it in a little bit transparent. Let's get some more yellow over there. Some more yellow around here. Then there's blues. And some darker blues. So to keep this less prominent than the other guys, you're going to keep these colors a bit more subtle. Not quite as vibrant as the other one. Okay, I'm done. So now I'm adding my little shading. And that shading is now also going to be less bright and prominent than the other ones. Quick little shading in. Quick little shading down. And sun reflection. And even that is not as bright. As those guys over there. So you'll find often when you're doing this that you can come back in with these first guys, your focal point ones, and just increase that vibrancy of these guys. Just increase that vibrancy every now and again, because as your paint dries, it darkens up on you. And your white tends to go a little bit transparent on you. So you can come back and just jazz up these contrasts here again. Alrighty, then you're going to want to put some smaller guys as well. Let's maybe go to there. So with the smaller guys, you can usually judge their size and their shape. You don't need to use a pair of compasses or anything like that. So let's maybe add a smaller guy down here. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. So you can get him close, and that's good enough. And I'll add more to the same. Maybe take some yellow over this side. Maybe there's some yellow swirling over here. And some oranges. Oops, I had a ton of water on the brush on that guy, so I'll just have to lift that out. Look how much water is there. I didn't dry my brush off properly. Okay, let's get some red down there, just maybe on the top for this guy. Now we'll get some purple down there and get some purple down here. And you can see I'm putting them in different shapes. Let's get some blue next to that. So if it goes up over here, it's got to come down on this side. Get that little shading highlight going there. And this shading highlight going over here. Then our reflection, bigger one, smaller one. Then you get some really tiny ones. And they'll just be a little circle. Or you can sometimes put them down a circle and then just a touch of color in it. So there's maybe just a little bit of yellow. And if you're feeling brave, you can even add a little highlight and a reflection into them. Okay, now let's do one where the bubbles are touching each other. Then you can see how to do that as well. So I'm just setting that up quickly. Alright, so I'm going to start off. Let's go to there. Move all that up. And let's just get ourselves a main bubble. And then we'll stick the other one to this one. Okay, so I think you've got the hang of this now. So let's get our outline. Let's see. Let's maybe make this one. Let's get a bit of yellow. Let's maybe put some yellow down here. Whatever. Maybe a bit of yellow there. Let's get some purple. Maybe this one's a bit more purple than the others. So get some purple over there. Maybe some blue. Okay, so it's going lower down here, so it's going to go higher up this side to get our symmetry right. Okay, let's go back to white. Quick little bit of a shading. And our sun reflections. Alright, so now let's maybe stick a bubble to this guy. So what happens with those when they stick together is you have that shape over there where the one touches the other one. So that gives you like a bit of an oval over there. And then it forms a dome on top of that. So you form that dome over there. And then from there, you can reflect in the dome part, not in that part over there. So I can add some reflections in there. And then right at the end, you add your little sun highlight into that guy over there. But he doesn't get that second one because that other half is now missing. It's not there. And it's as easy as that. Alrighty. I think that's basically all I can really show you as far as getting your different bubbles alright are concerned. So let's go to this from here. It's just a case of continuing and doing more just to fill it up a bit more. So I'm just getting the wide view all set up. Let's go to there. And let's do that. And there you can see what it looks like when you've filled it up a little bit more. And there you have it. Now you know how to paint bubbles. It's a nice easy process, eh? And really fun. It's honestly really fun. So can you see now how, because these are now brighter than all these others, because you've got more of a more intense colors here than there, your eye instantly goes to those bright guys over there. So if you've enjoyed this class, my website address is at the bottom. Please consider becoming a patron. There's hundreds more classes like this one over there. You pack out your paints and your brushes and you work along. There's pencil drawing, there's oil, there's acrylic, there's watercolor, there's pen and ink, there's pastel, there's even lesser known stuff like scratchboarding for you to go and give a try. So the link is at the bottom there. And then obviously there are exclusive classes there as well. So then each class comes with the reference photos, usually a sketch template as well if it's necessary. Like with this one it wasn't necessary, but if there is, then there's a sketch template for you to download as well as you follow along with the class. So I hope you enjoyed that class. I'll see you next time. Alrighty guys, so if you've got any more questions, fire away. I'll hang around for a bunch of minutes. Zoran, I wouldn't use the charcoal. If you're going to do your sketchwork, don't use charcoal because it's going to mix and you're going to miss. Remember, you're going to sketch the outline, and now you want to go and do your outline with nice white bright paint. It's going to mix, and then you're going to lose all those lovely highlights. So I don't recommend using charcoal to do your outlines. Graphite, yeah, no problem. Graphite doesn't lift up with the paint as much when you're doing those little outlines. What you can do is I've got myself a pack like this of watercolor pencils. So there's all the colors of the rainbow in it, and I'll be honest with you, I've had this set since I started with art. So this set is literally 20 years old. Giving away my age here already, it's terrible. And I'm still using the same. I think I've replaced one or two pencils of the most common colors over the years. So this little white watercolor pencil does work the best. Camlish, I don't paint in watercolor. If you want watercolor classes, there are literally more than 100 of them on the website that my dad has done. Dennis is he was our watercolor expert. Okay, yes. If you're using Zoran, if you're using dry media like pastel to do this, yeah, no problem. Then your white pastel strokes would just go straight over that charcoal, no problem. So just before I forget, as of next week, I've moved the live class on 4 hours. Sorry, I just need a cough. Suddenly got a hook in my throat. I think it's because I need some coffee. I'm running out of coffee. I'm running low on coffee. I'm moving the live class on 4 hours. So whatever time it was this week, just add on an extra 4 hours. Just to give other guys a gap to join the classes as well. So for a few months we'll keep it at that 4 hour. That'll make it when a lot of the guys in the US and in Canada have finished working, so then they can hop into the class. And it'll also be a better time for the guys in Australia as well. I've got plenty of customers in Aussie that would also love to join the classes, but it's just too early. It's 3 a.m. for them. So I'll move it on for a few hours, or 4 hours for a few months. So just keep track of that next week, that you don't get yourself caught with that. The first thing I do after my live class is I hop into my car and I ride into town. There's a guy there with a coffee cart that makes the best coffee you've ever had in your whole life. And I order a big one. Then I come back and I download all the videos, and then I drink my coffee while I'm editing the video, while I'm editing the class. I am definitely coffee fueled. Alrighty, guys. I'm not seeing any new questions coming in, so I think let's call it a day. You have yourself a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next week. Next week we are drawing. What are we drawing? Let's go and take a look. Trees. We are drawing trees next week. Yes, we are. Quite looking forward to that. Yeah, sorry, Patricia. I know it's not going to be more inconvenient for other guys the time moving on. I've got to try and keep everybody happy. That's the thing when you've got your customers are all around the world, and everybody also wants to have a chance to attend the live class. So sadly, you'll have to just catch the replay when you wake up. It's not going to work for the UK guys, and it's not going to work for the South Africans either, unfortunately. You'll just catch the replay when you wake up. Alrighty, guys. Take care. I'll see you next week.